This is the briefing for Thursday, July 31st. A couple things going on here. As I talked about for the last couple, maybe several days, couple of weeks, I don't remember, but the indices had a sell-off in today's trading. And in last night's briefing, I talked about the fact to watch for a potential gap in one direction, especially after the Fed announcement and the press conference that happened yesterday, but to watch for follow through. And you can see there was no follow through. This is the spiders on a 60-minute basis. There was no follow through there. There's no follow through here, and there's no follow through on the Russell as well. This is the Qs. So that led to the higher probability that the gap up was a false gap, and that we were going to see the gap closed and a rotation back to the downside. Very interesting, though, that the rotation down stopped right at the low of yesterday, which is the 631 area, 632 area, traded slightly below it, then traded back up above it and closed above it. So the same thing happened with the Qs, except it closed right at this 565 area. And of course, the Russell showing more weakness than the other two indices as well. Now, normally I switch to a daily chart, but I've left these on hourly charts because I think it's more important to see what's really see a bigger picture of what's happening on an hourly basis. Now, this is the 632 area right through here. So you can see that this is the spiders, and you can see that the importance of this level right through here. Next level of importance would probably come in right around the 625, 626 area, which would be this low right through here. Keeping in mind that the definition of a trend is a series of higher highs and higher lows to the upside, or lower lows and lower highs to the downside. So if we look at this trend, we can see a series of higher highs and higher lows. And then if you get a greater degree time and price counter trend rotation, you're going to see a break of the previous low. So we got a break of this low right through here in yesterday's trading, and then again in today's trading. But the next level of break of a higher low would be this level right through here, which would be the 626 area. So that would be the next level of support if and when the 632 area is broken potentially in tomorrow's trading. Now, as this was developing through here, I was discussing the fact that the internals were deteriorating and that it was impossible, well, I shouldn't say impossible, that it is a lower probability for a rally like this to the upside to continue when you see the internals deteriorating. And you can see this is 52-week highs minus 52-week lows that were declining. This is S&P, this is NYSE breadth. So you can see how that was declining as well. And when I get to volume in a minute, it's going to be just very, very interesting. Now, volume in the spiders, you can see, was increasing during this down move. Volume increased right there, even in yesterday's trading on that move right through there. So volume appears to be supporting the move to the downside. What's going to be important for tomorrow, if this counter trend rotation is not complete yet, would be to see this trade through the 631 area, 632, and close below that area as well. Now in the Qs, we're looking at basically the same situation. You can see this level right through here coming at the 565 level. You can see we traded below it twice today, but it held and we closed right at 565 in today's trading. Volume in the Qs is a little bit different, as you can see, than in the spiders. So if I go back to the spiders, you can see volume was increasing on this move to the downside in today's trading, whereas in the Qs, volume was increasing. I'm sorry, that's the IWM. So you can see volume increased slightly, but not, that's still the IWM. I can't get this chart to come up. There we go. Okay, so there you go. You can see the volume decreasing in the Qs, red decreasing all through this rally, even into the high of today. So it's very interesting that that volume in the Qs was falling off during the day, as opposed to the spiders in which volume was increasing. Now, finally, onto the Russell. I couldn't get rid of this chart. You can see breadth decreasing. There were no divergences going into this high, really. You can see that right through there. So all we have is a rotational pattern in the IWM right now. But next level of support comes in at 218. And if that's broken, then we'll look at the longer term charts to determine what the next level of support would be. Looking at where we are in terms of overbought and oversold, you can see that we're still basically neutral. And this is where we were in yesterday's trading. So basically very interesting. Same thing with the NASDAQ is approaching an oversold territory, but really not at a point of being extremely oversold, at least at this point in time. Now, here's the real crux of the matter. This is kind of a scary situation. You can see volume increasing in the NYSE. This is NYSE. Look what's happening with net volume. That's the amount of up volume minus the amount of down volume, and it's becoming exacerbated. So you can see that it's becoming more and more of down volume during the day as opposed to up volume. And you can see a slight tick up in volume in the NASDAQ today, but still look at what's happening with net volume in the NASDAQ. It is really very interesting to see that this is something that is showing some very, very big weakness within the indices themselves. So basically what we're going to be looking for is tomorrow is I would expect to see potential follow through to the downside. The keys here is if we break through these levels and we can hold below 222, 221 in the IWM, that we want to see follow through below there. We want to see, at least on a 15-minute chart, is what I look for anyway. You want to see follow through to the downside, and you don't want to see any divergences in the internals. You want to see breadth especially continuing to decline and not increasing as we see lower prices. So watch for that tomorrow. If we do have another thrust to the downside and breadth is weaker than it was today in all three of the indices, that's going to be a pretty good indication that we got a little bit more work to the downside before it's over. Going to be a very interesting day in trading tomorrow. Have a great night, and I will look forward to picking this up tomorrow evening.